Hola, muy buenos días para todos. Gracias a las 130 personas que tenemos ya conectadas a través de Zoom y los otros adicionales que están conectados a través de nuestro canal de YouTube. Agradecerles mucho. Les recuerdo que yo soy Sebastián Díez, director de Mercado de Comunicaciones de Inexmoda. Para nosotros como instituto es muy importante crear estos espacios de conocimiento porque en estos momentos de incertidumbre donde nadie tiene la respuesta ni nadie tiene verdades absolutas, pues entre más información tengamos para tomar decisiones, pues va a ser mucho mejor. Entonces, para nosotros como Inexmoda es muy importante crear estos espacios de conocimiento. Recordemos que venimos generando una serie de ciclos, venimos de una semana de digital, venimos de la semana pasada de una semana de macrotendencias y esta semana queremos dedicarle esos 3 días de conversación a las tendencias, ¿sí? Y vamos a iniciar esta semana de tendencias con un aliado muy importante para Inexmoda, que es Fashion Snoop. Recordemos que Fashion Snoop es una agencia de pronóstico de tendencias con cerca de 20 años de experiencia en el mercado. Está radicada en Nueva York y parte del entendimiento del consumidor en el mercado para aplicarlo a distintas industrias y distintos productos. Entonces, dentro de la plataforma y dentro de las investigaciones que tiene Fashion Snoop, tenemos información para el negocio textil y de moda, tenemos también cosmética y belleza, está decoración y hogar, partiendo de todo un entendimiento de las marcas y desde el consumidor desde una perspectiva global. Entonces, gracias a esta alianza hemos logrado traer, digamos, este tipo de conocimiento no solamente a Colombia, sino a Perú y Ecuador, mercados para los cuales Inexmoda es representante de Fashion Snoop. Hoy estamos muy contentos porque vamos a tener un conversatorio muy interesante precisamente de cada una de estas categorías y vamos a estar con 5 personas de Fashion Snoop. Entonces hoy vamos a estar muy bien acompañados. Vamos a estar con Lili Berevlovich, que es la presidenta y cofundadora de Fashion Snoop. Vamos a estar con la directora de tendencias, que es Jenna Guaraccio. Vamos a estar también con la directora del mercado femenino, que es Melissa Moylan. Vamos a estar con la directora de belleza, que es Melissa Heygo. No sé si lo pronuncié bien, Melissa, ahorita me corriges, por favor. Y vamos a estar con la directora para hogar, que es Jay Mitch. Les recuerdo a todos que este conversatorio va a ser en inglés, ¿sí? Para quienes de pronto tengan dificultad en el idioma, mañana va a estar colgado o alojado en nuestro canal de YouTube con subtítulos al español. Puede hacer preguntas a través del botón que está en la pantalla, en la parte inferior de la pantalla, que dice preguntas y respuestas, y al final de la conversación, pues iremos respondiendo estas preguntas. Entonces, nuevamente, gracias a todos. Voy a darle la bienvenida al equipo de Fashion Snoop, un gran aliado para Inexmoda, y vamos a estar conversando sobre cada una de estas categorías. Lily, Fashion Snoop's team, welcome. Good morning.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thank you. We're so glad to have you guys here. How are things?
Things are good. Isn't it amazing that this gives the opportunity to finally meet everybody online? I guess that's the prize of this moment, that we could digitally connect so quickly.
Great. We have around 200 people connected right now on our Zoom conference, and then we have some other people connected on our YouTube channel. We want to take this chance to start a conversation about trends, about Fashion Snoops. And Lily, you are the president and co-founder of Fashion Snoops. And I think that behind every great product or great initiative, there is a dream, and a purpose. So I want you to tell a little bit about Fashion Snoops, how this dream started and how this came to life.
Oh, wow. Well, over 20 years ago, I guess. It feels like so quick, but yeah, it's been a long time. The dream happened because as a designer, I had to, and that's where I started, designer and a merchant for many years. I had to be everywhere at the same time, honestly. Travel, research, buy samples, go to factories. And it became really difficult to kind of have my eyes and ears everywhere. And at the time, 20 years ago, believe it or not, the internet was starting to happen. It seems like I can't even imagine this pandemic without the internet. I mean, can you imagine that reality? But the internet was starting to happen, and the idea of how could we bring information to people's desks instead of them needing to be everywhere? How could we be everywhere for them? and bring the information and analyze it and put it together in such a way that designers worldwide can access everything that our researchers can access. And there's a lot of us, and slowly but surely 20 years later, it's a huge family. We really see, I see a FS as a family. These beautiful people on the screen that you're seeing are a small piece of our incredible team that lives, globally. Most of us are in the New York area, but a lot of us are international. And of course, partnering up with you guys was an incredible decision a few years ago. I had the chance of coming down and doing some presentations locally, and I'm hoping that after this is done, I'll get to do that again. But the goal has always been, how do we serve our clients? How do we provide worldwide information at their desks? And how do we support them with the right decisions of what they need to create next? And that hasn't changed. How we do it obviously has changed over the years, and how we do it now is really changing, which I know the team will speak to, and I'm happy to answer as well. But always serving our clients with valuable information that they could access, really quickly from the desks.
Great, amazing. And I think it's when you guys managed at such a broad vision of having not only trend information for the fashion market, for garments and clothing, but also for let's say the cosmetic industry and the home industry. Trends can apply to any industry out there. So I don't know if you want to tell people a little bit about how bringing all this information to different markets was.
Yeah, so believe it or not, but we started with kids. That was my expertise. And then Melissa, who's actually on the call, Melissa Moylan, is with us for almost 20 years, which is insane to me. I literally watched Melissa grow into the amazing human mother and woman that she is right now. But every section was born out of a lead who was excited about taking on and developing a section. So women came next. We focused a lot on that market. Men's came after that. Accessories came after that. Then Jay, who was with us also so many years. Jay, how many years is it already? I can't even count.
15.
15. So
year.
Jay was like, I'm so passionate about the home space. We need to do the same thing in the home space. So we added home, and then Melissa Hago, who's on with us as well, with us for many years. Like, we need to do this for beauty. There's so many trade shows to cover worldwide. There's a big industry of the beauty space, and she launched the beauty section. And honestly, it's like a mushroom. It just grew, and we expanded into valuable section. And now, the same formula applies to all of the different section, except it's a specific team that's allocated to that focus, which really keeps the sections specific to them, what they need to cover, the trade shows they need to be at, the way the people in that market need to see the information, how do we deliver it, timing, all of those pieces get taken into account when we build a section. But each section was built out of the love and dedication and passion of these beautiful people that you're seeing on screen, and some of us who you're not seeing on screen that are there building these solutions. And the list goes on. Active got added, denim got added, material got added. So all the sections got added as we expanded, obviously.
That's amazing. And considering that, the internet has made the world faster and quicker, and everything goes like at a much faster pace, it makes much more sense to have daily information of what's going on in the market, because people go around the world and travel and they visit trade shows, but you do that twice a year, 3 times a year, and in between there's a lot of things going on. So it makes even more sense to have daily information on what's going on in the world and detail in terms of the product. So it's an amazing mission. Thank you, Lily. I'm going to talk about I consider Inex Moda being part of the league. We haven't been together for 15 years like Melissa or Jay, but it's only been 3 years, but it's been a long journey in Latin America. Lily, thank you for being with us today.
Of course. Thank you for
I'm
having
going to
us.
be switching from English to Spanish, just to answer some questions from the audience and just to clearing up some things about the conversation. Para las personas que están conectadas, es importante, la conversación va a ser en inglés. Mañana vamos a tener el video disponible en YouTube con subtítulos y con cada una de las expertas en los temas vamos a empezar a conversar sobre lo que ven en el mercado, sobre cada una de sus categorías y ellas van a ir compartiendo pantalla y van a ir compartiendo información sobre los temas más relevantes. Lily, before we get into the trends topic, ask you a question about what's going on in the market right now. You know, COVID-19 has changed everything, you know, worldwide. We haven't seen something since 1918, you know, not even 9/11, not even SARS was as let's say, powerful as this. What do you think, what do you see in the market right now? How brands react to what's going on in the market, and how has Fashion Snoops helped these companies overcome this situation?
Well, I'll probably need an hour to answer, so I'm going to try to keep it short. And I think the team will also chime in as they speak to just unravel the little pieces of this, because it's not one big answer, it's layers, right? It's, you know, the market is reacting is one answer, but there's so many layers to how people are reacting. And the truth of the moment is that everyone's reacting differently, because as much as we're all experiencing the same thing, we're not experiencing the same, you know, we're not experiencing in the same way. Some retailers are essentials, so they're open. Some products are actually flying off the shelves where other products are not. So, you know, the hurricane of this is landing in different ways on different people and different brands. What I think for me, what I'm, you know, on one hand, of course, there's a stress and there's fear, and people are, you know, kind of at a standstill, and a lot of people are you know, furloughed and are not at their offices. You know, so there is a lot of fear and anxiety. But on the other hand, what we choose to focus on, which is why we started our own series of webinars called Fear to Fuel, we really think that this moment is so important for brands and retailers to take a pause and a quiet down, a slow down, and to really tune in to some of the big topics or questions that they haven't had time to consider, explore, or question. And those are big topics on why do we need to produce so much? Is creativity, you know, let's make sure that creativity and giving the creative some time to really dig into their hearts so they can produce product that really matters. What is our delivery dates? Do they even work anymore? How important is it to work on sustainable and conscious choices? Where do we produce and why? All of these big questions, you know, this is the time. So if you have the opportunity and you are taking a powerful pause, look at your strategies, look at the you know, the path, your creative pathways, and really take the time to address what hasn't worked, that you've overstepped because you were too busy chasing the next deadline, producing the next product, and shipping, you know, more than we need deliveries into retail stores. So we really feel like, and we are sensing that from brands and designers. A lot of them are joining our webinars, a lot of them are discussing, a lot of them are feeling again. That's the way I like to name it. We had the time to stop and pause so we could feel again. A lot of people are feeling again. And I think if we all hang in there and really address and reevaluate what's important, we'll be creating some really powerful, beautiful, useful product going forward. But it's going to take a realignment, and it's going to take some real strategic thinking on everybody's side.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, business models based on which three options: you either boost your business model, delivery services, or Netflix, or stay-at-home products. You have to, the second option is you reinvent your business model. You do what you know how to do, and you know, reinvent yourself. You have to completely change your business model. So you know, we have to have a lot of information to make the right decisions. I completely agree. Thank you for that, Lily.
Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna jump to Jenna Garascio. Hi, Jenna, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Good morning. Jana, you're the trends director at Fashion Snoop's. Big responsibility. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so my role is really kind of being the liaison between our sales team and our content team to really ensure that we are providing the right content and answering the right questions for our clients. So I work primarily, I think mostly with our editorial team, so all of our directors and VPs from all of our different markets to really make sure that the reports that we're developing are really the most actionable that they can be. And then also working with the sales team to make sure that we're really hearing from our clients and figuring out what their pain points are and helping them to really kind of figure out how they can produce really successful creative strategies.
Then how does research work? I mean, how does the team gather up all this information, bring it together, and then deliver it to clients, just to make sure that we're answering the right questions?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's really interesting, what I love so much about our team and our company is the way that we really collaborate together. So as Lily mentioned earlier, we have the different heads of all of our different markets, but what's really beautiful is at the beginning of every year, all of our experts come together and we're constantly researching and looking at different things within our own avenues. So Melissa Moylan's looking specifically down the hole within the women's market. Jay's looking at home. Melissa Hago's looking at everything related to beauty. And then we all come together and start to brainstorm at the beginning of each season to really identify what those kind of connector points are happening. And then also to kind of identify what's happening from a consumer sentiment perspective. So I think connecting the dots is something that's very important to us. And I think our methodology from identifying trends and shifts in the market really starts by looking big picture and really bringing everyone all together. And then once we've done that and really focusing on not only what people want, but the first question we're always answering is how are people feeling? And if they're feeling a certain way, what are they going to want? And how are those behavioral shifts going to change? So we look at that from both a consumer perspective and a product perspective. And I would say that really that kind of jumpstarts our entire season. And from there, we look at kind of what those shifts are on a cross-market level and a cross-global level too. As Lily said, we have researchers and editors across the world, and it's really important to also make sure that we're dialed into what's happening in the different sections globally. So we want to understand on a global level, what's the continuity? And of course, right now, we're kind of in this place that we've never been before, where everyone is more connected through this pandemic and feeling a lot of the same things. But then we also look at things from a localization standpoint. So we try to really understand not only from each market, but also from each culture and from each country, what are the different variables that are influencing ultimately what people are going to want, and therefore how our clients should be designing and manufacturing their products. So we go from that kind of big picture look, and then we go into each market. So Melissa Moylan and her team will go and then dive into women's and really kind of following everything from runways, trade shows, retail. Of course, in addition to that, and as Lily said, culture is so tied to what we do. We're always analyzing and questioning the consumer and then really understanding how that affects design. So I would say it starts very big picture and very collaborative. And I think what's great too is that in addition to all of our editors being experts in their own markets, everyone has passions and interests outside of those as well. So we bring in a lot of kind of cross-cultural references. And then from there, everyone kind of dives into their own markets and builds everything out.
Mm-hmm. Basically, you guys start off with consumer behavior and consumer sentiments. Fashion Snoop recently published the macro trends in consumer culture 2022. Can you tell people a little bit about what you guys are seeing, consumer behavior, consumer sentiment? What is this information about? What are you guys forecasting for consumers, and taking into account that, we're going through COVID, this whole situation? What are those shifts in consumer behavior?
Yeah, so I think what's been really interesting in the conversations we've been having as a company is, as you said, we start with consumer behavior and we identify these big macro trends. So the macro trends, when we say that, are the big shifts that are ultimately going to affect how people live, what they buy, and how they kind of engage with the world. But from there, we then identify these cultural sentiments, and the sentiments are influenced by these macro trends, but the sentiments really talk about how consumers are feeling. And I think what's been really interesting in this moment is, you know, a lot of these sentiments that we identified prior to COVID are now more important than ever. And I think the reason for that is the fact that a lot of the issues that we're experiencing in COVID were pre-existing before this happened, and they're now just being accelerated and these kind of more obvious pain points than ever before. So what's interesting is we've talked about a lot of things that we're all experiencing right now. So this idea of vulnerability and thinking about this idea of being vulnerable and how it can be utilized as a strength. So that was one of our cultural sentiments. We talked about this idea of pushing ourselves to the edge and kind of getting out of our comfort zones and what that means for creativity. And obviously, when we were talking about that before, we were thinking about things like going on these crazy adventures or pushing yourself to the limit. But now what we're seeing is we're all in this moment of uncertainty, and we're all kind of in this place of discomfort. And the opportunity for creative productivity and innovation is so vibrant right now. And kind of what that means going forward, I think will be even more important. So I think what's been interesting is we've noticed a lot of the things that we've already identified, they're more relevant than ever, but they're shifting and growing in a different way, because all of these things that we were feeling are now being accelerated and adopted in new ways due to COVID. So one of the things we've been doing in a lot of our webinars is really identifying, okay, we kind of identified these 4 sentiments for the season. What does that mean now? How are they even more important than before? So we really are looking at how to now, even though they're more relevant, helping our clients to interpret how they can utilize them to actually act on them, and the ways that we need to rethink product as a result. I don't know, Lily, if you want to add anything to that.
I think you named it all. I mean, what's being shared on the screen right now are macro trends. What I want to add to what Jenna was saying about where we find the answers, yes, we have a large team that does the legwork, but what we've also added is our AI capability. So artificial intelligence has been another team member, a really strong team member, and we build our own technology in-house that helps us, you know, tenfold be in the know, because now we have AI machine learning that's scouting the internet, scouting all of the media outlets and aligning and confirming the conversations that we believe in. So that's a layer that's important to us as well. Of course, mixing the technology that's available with human intelligence. So we start with the macros, what you're seeing on the screen. Those are big topics. Those are addressing sustainability, they're addressing wellness, they're addressing humanity. And then out of those, we start to dig into how people feel. And as Jenna said, one of the other ones that we see really kind of soaring right now is our conversation of goodness, which is, you know, really seeing at the core of humanity where we want goodness, we want to take care of others, we want our lives to matter. So again, this is macros, but and then the sentiments, if you wanted to log in there, you can, but it's another layer of conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually thought, you know, go over the macro trends that you guys are forecasting for 2022. I mean, and thinking about what we're going through right now, I mean, just by looking at the names of the macro trends, shows a lot of, you know, the evolution of consumer. You know, you look at these macro trends and you say like, oh my God, this is real, you know, this is really happening. Yeah. You know, superhuman, yeah. Digital deep end, you know, eco-rituals, you know, there's a lot, wake up. This has definitely shaken the world and made everybody literally become more conscious about the way they consume, the way they approach the market, about the way they approach society. So, you know, you see all these macro trends and you think this is real, you know, this is happening.
Yeah, I mean, whenever we get together in our meetings and talk about what we forecasted before, we shake our heads and we go like, oh, how in the world did we name this? And like Jenna said, because we're so tuned in and dialed in to kind of feeling feeling the movements in culture and the world, I guess it was bubbling up. You know, the emotion of it was bubbling up, and then boom, it explodes, and now more. You know, all of these take on a new meaning. A wake up call. The wake up was, you know, all about honoring others and really understanding how we're all connected. And hello, is that more evident than ever before? And then, you know, really understanding higher consciousness and the importance of tuning in and taking quiet time, and being human. I mean, we're all really learning what it means to be human right now. So it's important to know this. And for all of you that are joining the call who design product, it could be anything: shoes, bracelets, earrings, wallets, you know, and you say to yourself, why does this matter? It matters because until you understand the person who is buying your product and really tap into what they're experiencing in the world, even before COVID and post COVID, understanding what is important to them now, then what you're creating cannot be as relevant as if you're tapped into understanding what's important to them and what are they experiencing right now. So these are the macro trends, and we dive into each one of them. We give you stats, we track where they're coming from, and then the media tracker, which is what I talked about, the AI. If you click on the top, all the way at the top after evolution map, you'll get to see the AI tracker, which is what it's doing is literally scanning all media outlets and aligning media stories and confirmation of the topics that we're addressing. So to me, this is crucial right now. Before you design anything, understand the world, understand your consumers, and understand their behavioral choices.
Mm-hmm. No, and I think that if you understand the consumer and if you understand lifestyle, you can't, you know, evolve your company, evolve what you do. You know, you can step up to a next level. And today you might be doing bracelets, but tomorrow you might be doing, let's say, gift boxes that you deliver straight to client's house, right? So you know, this is the starting point for you guys to understand the consumer. As Jenna said, narrow it down to each categories or each of the parts or each of the markets. But today, more than ever, companies and businesses were forced to understand lifestyle. You know, if you rent dresses for celebrations or parties, I mean, you're out of business today. You know, you have to turn around and do something. So you have to understand the lifestyle perspective of your client. Jenna, thank you very much for your information. It's really, really interesting and a huge responsibility.
Thank you.
A todos, para que sepan, vamos a ir conversando de cada una de ellas. Ellas nos van a ir contando sobre cada uno de los productos y vamos a ir mirando algunas de las tendencias en líneas que sean más fuertes o que nos vayan mencionando. Vale. Melissa Moylan, hi, how are you?
Hi, good, how are you?
Good. Melissa, thank you for being with us today. You are the Feminine Market Director, is that right?
Yep, I am the VP and Creative Director for Women's Wear at FS.
That's a very sexy category. We have a lot of companies in Latin America working around the feminine market. And look at us, it's 5 women and just me.
Yes, well, you're lucky today.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about, you know, what are the trends you're seeing in the market? If you want to share your screen with us, you can do so. If not, I can just browse Fashion Snoop while you're telling a little bit about the trends.
We could go maybe, hold on. Could share mine.
Go ahead.
Okay, I think we see it.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll just take a quick dive into women's, as I know we have other markets that we want to get through. I think that Jenna and Lily did a beautiful job describing our cultural area. Of course, I'm viewing this in English. We have it in Spanish. And I'll just take you through what our forecast starts to look like. Obviously, everything stems from culture. What Lily has kind of pioneered for us is what we call heart-led forecasting, which is driven by emotion, a lot of those cultural macro trends and how they'll infiltrate our individual markets. So here I'm going to take you into spring, summer 21, and I'll just give you an idea of how it boils down to where we start really identifying thematic interpretations, as well as how we break out the individual design elements. So what we have are seasonal narratives for this season. What I'm looking at here, again, it's spring, summer 21 in women's, and we come up with these 4 narratives, as we call them. And this is where we really start to package something when it's happening thematically. All of these are connected back into those cultural macros that we previously identified. So you'll get that here. Here's where we start to, form mood boards. We identify this person. This particular one is called Dharma, where we were really inspired by the mountaintops of Nepal. We were inspired by spirituality. There's a lot of sustainability built into this one as well. And I'll just give you a glimpse.
Melissa?
Yep.
What season is this?
This is spring, summer 21.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go through one just so everybody's kind of familiar what this looks like from a design perspective. Every narrative ties back into a beautiful color palette. We have all of the different color systems that you use, Pantone to CSI to Achroma. And within our colors, we also allow you to see different aspects from how they evolve to beautiful color combinations, which is a really great way to interpret color for the season. In addition to, we have tons of color reports, as obviously we know that's a huge driver. And I think, even considering what's happening with COVID-19 and how we're going to see design after that fact, color is going to be an even more powerful statement that we're seeing people take with their design choices. Continuing on into this particular narrative, we have a style guide. So this is intended to really just be a way that maps out your season. Again, taking this thematic direction called Dharma, we show you the color palette, we show you a couple of the design elements when it comes to materials, patterns, graphics, key items, and details. I'll just go through a couple more of those. We have a word bank that sets the tone. We do beautiful videos that I encourage everyone to have a look at. Material pages where we'll identify really beautiful images. And this one particularly, because it's a lot about sustainability, we'll go into that. We'll identify some key drivers, design details to look forward to. Patterns and graphics, this is also an area that we really excel in. I think this also speaks to kind of the emotion that design is going to feed into. As I mentioned, color being a primary driver post-COVID-19. Pattern and graphic, that's also something that we believe in strongly because it kind of exudes an emotional response. It makes you happy. It taps into kind of overall themes. We also have key items. This is something that, this is again, just for this one particular theme. We divide it into women's as well as a junior or young contemporary market, also denim as well. And if you're in a particular classification or market, so for example, if you are that dress designer, if you are that woven top designer, we provide, reports that are specifically geared to that. And this is also an interesting aspect of our narratives where here we actually show you, these are the cultural macros that we have forecasted out in advance. These are the colors that we forecasted out in advance, and then we'll connect it back into some more culture and lifestyle reports. So here you have a lot of different resources to continue your research within one. But I just wanted to give you kind of an idea of how we start to put that together thematically. In addition to that, I think I'll just highlight a couple other areas. Runway, of course, we covered that, but the jury's out in terms of how we'll be covering that going forward. world in trade shows. We cover, in addition to women's wear, we also cover a lot of intimates and swim, as well as activewear. So that's something, where we go into a trade show, of course, like yours, we'll take photos, and then we'll also break that down to some of those design elements that we saw when we were in forecast. So what we do at Fashion Snoops, we are consistently always confirming at different market levels. So from, our cultural macros, which connect to our forecasted narratives, to trade shows. And then in retail, Lily spoke to this. I'm just going to switch gears. I had it up on my screen. This is the retail watch that we have developed. This also leverages our AI capabilities. And what's so key here and really important for our research, as well as all of our clients, is the fact that we're able to go into different markets. And this grabs from leading retailers and brands all over the world of what they're showing online. I apologize, I think my internet connection's a little bit slow, but you could see we literally have, over 85,000 images that are gravitated towards there from each market, different brands. You can see a list of them here. So it's a really great resource, especially now, seeing that most stores are closed. So we're able to, still have research, still see what that landscape is looking like right now.
This is an amazing section because, a lot of always thinking about, what your competition or what that reference brand is doing, to get inspired on your collections. So, I mean, you have a huge bank of, we have a huge bank of information, where companies always go to just to see what's going on in the world. This is a recent section, right?
We have always covered retail. That since the beginning of FS, that has kind of been our bread and butter when we started. Obviously, we've seen the market shift in so many different ways. We still have research teams that are on the ground in all the major cities around the world. However, this is something, the retail tracker, that's been in the works since prior to COVID-19. So it's actually becomes quite timely. In the aspect that right now we're not able to enter any stores, but obviously e-commerce is still, it's, up. So that's something that we need to pay attention to and see, how that is going. And then of course, once stores do reopen, we'll be addressing that. But I think something else that's really important, what we do at FS is that we have launched a new section, and maybe, hold on. Get back to sharing my screen here.
While you open your screen, I want to ask you one last question about the market. What are those 3 key trends that you would just connect that, that they should keep an eye on?
Say that once more. It was a little bit choppy for me.
I'm sorry, my connection is a little, it cuts off a little bit. What are those, let's say, 3 key trends that all the people should keep an eye on?
So I think like right now we have to understand how important this moment is and how pivotal it is for our industry. I think that there's a couple things that will be driving the product landscape as we move forward post COVID-19. What I'll show you after I answer this is that we've actually dedicated a new COVID-19 insights aspect to our site, where we have a lot of reports and resources where we'll highlight brands, what we're doing, and make sense of it, and give our clients opportunities that they could take. But in terms of product, and especially for women's wear, I see it in a couple different ways. First, I think that we are shifting into what we call less-idents, which is less but better. You could think of it along the lines of minimalism and how we're progressing that. Of course, that's been around pre-COVID too. But also I think this is really forcing consumers to reset, to rethink their wardrobes. And it'll create kind of this yearning that you want items in your closet to last, that you want these items, these wardrobe builders, that you're going to add a couple new pieces every season, but hopefully this is also going to signal the end of overconsumption because we've dealt with so much excess. And hopefully this is going to start to shift away from disposable fashion as, you know, consumers are more conscious of that. I think that's a big way. Also, I think something else, and I kind of mentioned this as I was taking you through the narrative, was the notion of emotional wear, and how this sort of optimistic and emotional response is evoked through things like color. You know, how you could put on one color and it just, you know, enlivens your mood. I think that we'll feel a deeper connection to things like that, as well as prints, even the touch of a garment, the material, something that's nice and silky and just feels really good on the body. So I think that we're shifting back into that too. I would, you know, caution that because one of the things that I mentioned was this notion of wardrobe staples and kind of like these classic updated pieces. While the other thing, more emotional, could be maximalism, such as color and print and pattern. So those two things, they seem like they're polar opposites, but it's important to remember, I think, as we all go through this process, and kind of, you know, post COVID-19 world, we'll be at different points. So that doesn't mean, you know, we could have wardrobe builders in our closet, but at the same time, we could also embrace something that's fun and get back into color, and just things that make us feel good.
Awesome. Thank you for that answer. Melissa, you were going to share your screen?
Yep. Hold on.
Mientras Melissa abre su pantalla, de acuerdo que si quieren preguntas, tendencias, Melissa Moelan es la directora de tendencias para el mercado femenino. Entonces, tenemos muchos suscriptores en Fashion Snoop en Colombia, Perú y Ecuador del mercado femenino. Si alguno de ustedes está conectado y tiene alguna pregunta puntual, ese es el momento. Entonces, recuerden que pueden hacer sus preguntas a través del chat sobre la derecha o a través del botón de preguntas y en la parte inferior. Go ahead, Melissa.
Okay, so I have this up, and actually this is something that, you know, I think as a company, FS and Lily is spearheading this, we've been speaking to how this impacts our world of design ever since the onset. And that's why we've done a lot of webinars for our clients. And that's also why we've developed this new section within our top navigation, you know, just as important as all of the other sections, and tapping into all of the other sections is an area that we call COVID-19 Insights. I think, Jenna, if you wanna maybe direct me to click on a specific one, as a good example, but you could see that this is what we've aggravated in just 1 month, you know, a little bit over a month. I can't even remember the day anymore. But all of these things have to deal with how, you know, the design world is impacted by this, new influencers, meditation leaders, things that are really relevant to any of the markets that you may be in.
Yeah, so this is really, I mean, I think as Melissa said too, this section kind of functions as a twofold. On the first hand, it's an aggregator from all the different sections. So everything from women's, men's, beauty, home, etc. Anything that we're talking about, any strategies related to COVID, they're all here. So this kind of becomes a one-stop shop for our clients to really get all the information. And as we kind of view it as well, this moment, I mean, it's not dependent on one market or the other. So even if we're talking about something in beauty, there's still inspiration to be found that could be applied to women. So that's why we wanted to bring everything together. The second piece, as Melissa has open right now, is a new initiative and a new series that we launched called Thrive Guides. And the idea behind these reports is to help our clients not only survive this moment, but to actually thrive and come out of this pandemic better than they entered it in the beginning. So our thought here is really, I mean, we've been talking with a lot of clients. We work really closely with all of our clients to really figure out the questions and the concerns they have most and developing out these strong strategies. So this first report that we're looking at right now are the 10 priorities that all brands and businesses should really be thinking about in this moment, and how the decisions they make right now will affect their business for the next X amount of years. So The idea behind these Thrive Guides also is that in addition to having these reports, we also acknowledge that while we're all having the same problem, the solutions are not a one size fit all. So we've also developed a whole new kind of platform and opportunities of services that we're giving to clients where we can do some one-on-one consulting with them to help them build the strongest possible strategy for this moment for their particular business. So in addition to these reports that we will be posting, every Thrive Guide report will also feature a webinar that will be exclusive to just our clients. So we'll walk through all of the research and strategy behind each one of those. The other thing, Melissa, if we want to touch on is our AI tracker on the left-hand side. So as we showed in our culture section where we're tracking all of our macro trends, we wanted this to also be a one-stop opportunity for all of our clients to be able to read up on all of the articles and different information that's happening right now. So we know that everyone's inundated with information, and our goal here is to really cut through the clutter and provide this one-stop shop. So all of these, this is using our artificial intelligence aggregator. It pulls in articles from hundreds, I believe thousands of different sites. And then we group it on the left-hand side, you can see. So you can look at everything that's related to COVID, but then maybe you're just concerned and interested in reading up on digital solutions. Maybe you're looking into how you can kind of grow your creative strategy. So any of those big conversations within COVID, we have underneath there, and then you can go further up at the top and select by either market or the ability to star a report and then share that with your team. So there's a lot of different ways, but we wanted to kind of create this centralized kind of area for our clients and provide those questions and answers.
This section is very interesting, and talking about business models, you know, priorities have changed. You just showed a priority set with it was 10 priorities that companies keep an eye on. And you know, if we could go into that section time, just to give, you know, the audience an idea what their priorities should be. Strategy, it's, you know, more important more than ever. Sanitation focus, you know, before COVID-19 it was an option. Today it's an obligation or a necessity from companies. So everybody that wants to open up their stores have to have, you know, sanitation procedure or let's say, you know, all these strategies to reopen their stores. Generosity and support, you know, companies with purpose and business models with a purpose that they can communicate, customer communication, resolve old issues. If you can scroll down a little more so we can show the audience. I think this section is very interesting because, you know, a trend forecasting agency or company is always related to product, you know, always related. The print is going to be, what the shapes are due for the next season, you know. But if you understand the consumer from a broader perspective, from a lifestyle perspective, and from the context you're living in, you'll see that, you know, all these strategies are in terms of business model, not only in terms of product. So I just wanted people to have another look at this, at the, you know, top priorities for customers right now, for clients. We have a couple of questions from in the audience, or two people right now. Carolina Velit is asking, what sustainable materials do you recommend for sportswear that are not super expensive?
Jenna, did you want to take the materials?
Yes, sure. I can actually pull up, if you want to let me share screen. So I think that's a great question, and something we've been talking about a lot right now is the concept of sustainability and how, I mean, we have clients questioning whether or not sustainable practices will stay in place or if they will become a second priority. And the thing that we're realizing is that sustainable initiatives are more important than now, and it's more important to really not only infuse and think about the materials that you're integrating into your products, but also the way that you're communicating that with your clients. So let me click out of this real quick. So currently where I am in our site, I'm in our women's section, and I've selected materials and details. And at the beginning of the season, one of the big reports that we do are our seasonal material shifts. So this looks at innovations and different things that are happening within the material market and the things that our clients should look into in order to evolve their strategies. So one of the ones I want to touch on real quick is, let me get my screen full. So we have a couple different sustainable perspectives. The one I want to speak to just for a moment is this idea of wasted earth. So within each of these reports, we look at shifts by calling out kind of the big overarching messages here. And then we break down the different materials, the different surfaces, resources. So we give a lot of information in regards to different mills that you should work with. But one of the things we're looking at a lot right now is, and I think what's even more important right now is looking at how you can look at sustainability while also incorporating protective initiatives. So something we're seeing right now is consumers are looking for ways to protect themselves, whether it be from, of course, COVID and bacteria and viruses, but also this is going to lead into other things like UV protection, et cetera. So thinking about things like one of the materials we've been talking a lot about as a company that also is great for children's wear, which of course has a lot of regulations, is this idea of antimicrobial organic bamboo. So I think that that's something to definitely look into, and looking into these antimicrobial fabrications that are also organic or sustainable in nature. So here you can see a couple different call outs we've been talking a lot about waste composite leathers. So we've seen things, everything from mushroom leathers to kind of upcycling different waste compositions to create these faux leathers. But bio leather in general, I've been talking a lot about whether it comes from fat or bones or blood of animals. So a lot of different ways to integrate that. We're also seeing a lot of woolen structures. So we have here these kind of felted woolens, but really thinking about the importance of wool in this moment and these kind of compressed fibers, as well as a lot of these cellulosic materials. So you can see right here, we have EcoVero's knits. So this is a great sustainable viscose, as well as for anyone who's familiar with the brand Pangaea. They're a great sustainable loungewear brand, and they do this great bio-based wildflower down. That's a great alternative to down products and is really kind of leading the conversation in different initiatives there. So for anyone who is on this call and is our client, actually, even if you aren't a client, our materials expert actually did an amazing webinar, I think about last week, I believe. And she spoke to the different sustainable materials and then also a lot of the protective initiatives. So we're seeing a lot of like strength and resilient fabrications as well. So I'm going to show you real quick where you can go, and actually all of our webinars that we previously presented are all recorded and available, whether you're a client or not. You go to fashionsnoops.com/events, and you can go here and actually see all of the webinars that we've presented previously. And then as you'll see right here, this was in April 14th. We had our material shift and innovation webinar, and you can click right here with the ability to actually view the recording. So I highly suggest anyone who's interested in materials from a sustainability perspective, from a protective perspective, really the materials that you need to really prioritize in this moment of COVID-19. We answer all of those questions in that webinar.
Great, thank you, Jenna. Thank you, Melissa. Very interesting. Y recomendarle a las personas, como decía Jenna, si quieren ver los videos o las conferencias que dicta Fashion Snoop directamente, ha habido una serie de webinars muy interesantes que están alojados en el sitio web de Fashion Snoops. No tienen que ser suscriptores a la plataforma, están abiertos al público. Ahora quiero saltar a una categoría que me parece súper interesante y me encanta. O sea, me parece, obviamente, pero me parece interesante, la categoría de belleza y cosmética. Y Quiero darte las gracias, Melissa Heigo, por estar con nosotros. Con Melissa vamos a conversar en español. Con la única de ellas que vamos a conversar en español y vamos a hablar de la categoría de belleza. Melissa, ¿cómo estás?
Bien, bien. ¿Cómo estás, Sebastián?
Todo muy bien. Melissa, cuéntanos un poquito de la categoría de belleza. ¿Cómo ves esa categoría? ¿Qué está pasando? Hemos visto que las empresas que trabajan en cosmética y belleza han reinventado su negocio e inclusive muchas han ido al negocio de aseo personal, limpieza. ¿Qué ves tú desde tu perspectiva?
Sí, yo creo que es un momento, tú sabes, como otros mercados no están haciendo tan bien. Yo sé que como la moda no está tan alto, pero la belleza sí está haciendo bien porque la belleza es parte del bienestar. So, vemos que la gente, tú sabes, está cuidando más y como dijo Jenna antes, hay mucho de la protección y con la belleza es eso, es lo que uno se come, lo que uno se pone en la piel. So, estamos viendo que el cuidado de la piel está subiendo, que más gente se están cuidando y que se pone en la piel. Y nosotros en Fashion Snoop lo que hacemos es, como dijo Jenna también, mirando lo cultural. So, aunque ahora estamos viendo que el cuidado de la piel es algo que está subiendo, estamos viendo que después de la cuarentena, que el maquillaje va a subir porque la gente van a querer salir y lucir y ponerse el pintalabio. So, estos son como los tipos de reportajes que hacemos en la belleza. Y de veras me encanta la sección de belleza porque aunque es belleza, son tantas categorías. Hablamos de maquillaje, de fragancia, de comida, del bienestar, del spa, de los hombres. So, hay muchos empacaje también, so hay muchas categorías.
Lisa, muy interesante. Y ahí tenemos que entender los hábitos del consumidor y ese nuevo estilo de vida. Probablemente sigamos usando máscaras faciales por un tiempo. ¿Cómo ves tú esos hábitos de consumo? ¿Cuáles van a ser? Porque belleza es un mundo muy amplio, tiene muchas categorías, tiene labios,
Sí.
tiene ojos, tiene rostro. ¿Cuáles son esas categorías que estos nuevos hábitos de consumo ven ustedes que van a ser más fuertes?
Sí, vemos que hay como diferentes. Primero es, como le dije, la protección. Vamos a ver que la gente va a querer más como cosas que son antibacteria, también que hidratan, porque estamos también que la piel se está secando. ¿Quieres que enseñe la pantalla? Ok.
Perfecto. Yo iba a compartir, pero compártela tú mucho mejor.
Okay. Este es aquí estamos en la belleza. Como le dije, en esta sección que se llama Visionary Forecast es donde estamos buscando o estamos reportando donde las cosas que vamos a ver que van a estar a tendencia. Como le dije ahora con todo lo que está pasando, vemos que la gente quiere protección, que quiere cosas que se puede poner a la piel que sean más buenas. Y Melissa Moylan también habló de eso en la parte de la moda, dijo la palabra less dense, que significa que vamos a querer productos que tengan menos, pero que hagan más. En belleza eso significa que quizás un producto que nada más tenga 10 ingredientes, pero que me puede hidratar, que me lo puedo poner en los pies, que me puedo poner en los dedos, entonces en las uñas también, que tienen mucha función también. Y vamos a ver también, yo creo que muchos productos que son, no sé cómo se dice en español, hybrids. Como un pintalabio que quizás cuando me lo ponga con la máscara sea como más matte para que no se ponga en la máscara, pero después cuando me saque la máscara que pueda también ser un gloss. Vamos a ver muchos productos que van a como cambiar, que uno se pone de una manera y después se puede cambiar de otra manera. Y eso es otra vez como vemos mucho la multifunción. Y aquí, como le dije, ¿sabe? Me encanta el mundo de la belleza porque hay tanto de qué hablar. Y nosotros también, tú sabes, estamos mirando la cultura, estamos mirando qué está pasando en el arte, qué está pasando en el mundo. Sostenibilidad es bien grande para nosotros también porque ahí se habla del empaque, de los productos, de los ingredientes que se van a usar, como si ahora estamos diciendo que el clima está muy caliente, cuáles son esos ingredientes que van a ser fuertes, que se van a poder usar en los productos como el cactus, los hongos son bien populares, cosas así son lo que siempre estamos buscando.
Súper interesante. Y Melissa, ahorita, hace un momento Melissa Moylan nos decía o nos hablaba de una tendencia que con todo esto que estaba pasando podía ser muy fuerte y hacía referencia a la sostenibilidad, hacía referencia pues a la conciencia. ¿Tú crees que esa conciencia del consumidor va a hacer que las mujeres se maquillen distinto, que sean un poquito más reales? ¿Cómo ves tú ese tema?
Sí, es como, yo creo que, y como dijo Melissa, es que siempre hay como opuestos, como vamos a ver personas que quieren más minimalista, como no se quieren poner tanto, que sea más para el cuidado de la piel, pero también vamos a ver a las personas que se quieren lucir y poner maquillaje. Y una de nuestras tendencias también era, se llama como play, como de jugar, y es mucho de como uno quiere también sentirse bien, tú sabes, estamos en una pandemia, estamos estresados, estamos en la casa y queremos algo que nos hace sentir bien y alegres y estamos viendo muchos productos que también ayudan como a alterar cómo nos sentimos o que nos hagan más feliz o colores que nos hacen sentir feliz también. O también la textura es bien interesante en la belleza. Estamos viendo mucha textura más como de gel o también textura que son como jelly también. Uno que uno puede tocar y como otra vez es como para sentirse bien y sentirse alegre. Vamos a ver más de esas cosas, como nosotros los llamamos como feel good. Los tipos de maquillajes que me pongo y ahí me siento feliz y no me acuerdo de lo que está pasando.
Pues con todo lo que está pasando, tienen una sección en cosmética que es medidas de protección. ¿Puedes contarle a las personas un poquito más de este ítem?
Sí, y para los que tengan acceso al website, de veras que deben mirar a los shifts, porque aquí lo que hacemos es, tú sabes, cada vez vemos, ok, qué está pasando en el mundo y cómo eso va a inspirar a la sección de belleza. Lo hacemos para todo el website, lo hacemos para la casa, para también joyería, para las mujeres, pero en esa sección es cómo eso va a afectar al mundo de belleza. Es similar de como habló Jenna también, ella habló de la protección, de la gente se va a poner como ropa que protegen y lo mismo que se van a poner o querer cosas de belleza que también protejan. Este es muy bien porque habla también de como protección. Aquí tenemos algunos del hand sanitizer vimos mucho. También vemos como protección en el empaque. Eso es bien importante también porque cuando nosotros creemos en protección, es como uno se pone, pero también es como si pones un producto en el empaque que te proteja del aire, que no se oxida, o como si tienes vitamina C, que no queda mucho tiempo, vemos más protección del sol también. Eso es uno de los, y aquí le voy a enseñar la página. Aquí es, esta es nuestra protección como más como del sol y cosas también. Y esto es el empaque, pero también vamos a ver, tú sabes, protección del, ¿cómo se dice? El environment también, porque vemos que con las bacterias, el aire, con el UV, hasta también estar en la casa, sabemos que el aire de la casa algunas veces es peor que el aire de afuera, vemos más productos que nos protejan el piel, que nos productos también de la computadora, que nos protejan también de el teléfono, del UV, sí vamos a ver más de eso también.
Vale, súper interesante. Melissa, ¿cuáles son esas marcas que deberían observar o deberían seguir o estas como brands to watch que tú estás viendo afuera que deberían seguir las marcas y si hay alguna sección donde la podamos encontrar?
Sí, tú sabes, para mí me encantan mirar a los brands un poco más indie, porque creo que los que son un poco más pequeños siempre están haciendo cosas innovadas. No que las grandes no están haciendo cosas innovadas, sabemos que el Procter & Gamble y Coty siempre están haciendo cosas, pero no sé, los brands indie también siempre, para mí cuando estoy haciendo el research veo que están usando ingredientes diferentes, que están como empujando en la innovación. Para nosotros es bien importante todas las ferias y yo sé que ahora es un poco más difícil ir a estas ferias, pero es un lugar donde, tú sabes, vemos muchas marcas, donde conocemos muchas marcas diferentes y de ahí donde vemos, tú sabes, dónde va a empezar la innovación. Como un ejemplo, nosotros escribimos del CBD casi 3 años atrás. Y ahora sabemos que el CBD ha explotado en el mundo, pero por ir a este show empecé a ver que ahora las marcas están usando el CBG, que es el CBG, que es otro, que es más para ir a dormir. So, ahí una marca está viendo eso y ahora estoy viendo que más marcas lo están haciendo. So, es como el empiezo de una tendencia, empiezan estos shows. Y tú sabes, hacemos shows, lo cubrimos en Europa, en Asia, aquí en los Estados Unidos. Y como ves aquí, reportamos de shows de belleza, de fragancia, de comida. Y siempre le damos como una página de, ok, ¿qué puedo aprender de este show? So, si ves aquí es como qué ingredientes podemos aprender, qué está pasando en la sostenibilidad, qué está pasando en el mundo, tú sabes, sexual, que es una tendencia también bien importante. Y aquí le damos todo el reportaje, estos son ingredientes que estamos viendo desde este show. Y aquí siempre le damos como los brands más innovators. Y ahí le damos la marca, qué están haciendo. So, las ferias son un recurso muy bien para irse también, para coger información.
Es muy interesante. We don't have that much, so last but not least, I'm going to say hi to Jay Mitz.
Hi.
Director of Home. Hi, Jay. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being with us today.
No problem.
Now, you are the director of Home. This is another category that I'm like really passionate about. Actually, just to let everybody know that Inexboda is going to be doing High Columbia in 2021. So we're really passionate about this category. Really, we have really high expectations, and it's been, an industry that's been developing enormously. Tourism and people traveling has driven this industry enormously. What do you see in this industry? What's going on with those trends? How is this new lifestyle with the whole COVID situation changing consumption in terms of home?
It's a really interesting question right now because obviously everybody's stuck in their homes. So I think the value system of people has changed a lot in the last month to revalue their buying behaviors to be more prioritized towards homes as they're stuck there. And it's shifting to focus on things they want to redo in their homes. Now they have to have a home office. They're teaching their kids at home. They're like basically stuck there all the time, so that we're seeing a huge uptick in people cleaning out their spaces, decluttering. We're seeing a lot of people really doing new renovation projects in their home, redoing things that they wanted to do for a long time because they're not traveling, they're not on the go anymore. So they're really taking time to do the research and purchase things for their home that they haven't, which is really quite interesting because for a long time people wouldn't buy online bigger items for the home, like furniture or hire more expensive pieces. But now due to COVID, we're seeing that a lot of those pieces are actually being bought online at a higher frequency, which is interesting. We've seen a huge uptick in bedding, bath products, rugs, all types of soft goods, lighting, decor, things that kind of make it feel a little bit more personable and comfortable, as well as like home office. Those things kind of flew off the shelves. Anything that could be like a printer, desk, lighting for desk, shelving, ways to really reinterpret your space as opposed to having to set up your dining room table. Also desk chairs. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that we've kind of seen really take priority for the home as well. So I think the purchasing power has really kind of shifted into a home focus, which is interesting.
It is actually just to tell everybody. A couple of weeks ago, we had somebody from Mercado Libre. Mercado Libre is one of the most important marketplaces in Latin America. They sell even more than Amazon in Latin America. And she was telling us how all these home categories had been selling. Or people would just want their home office. They want to decorate their house. you now you have the time to paint a wall that you never could have painted as you were going to work daily on a daily basis. And basically you want to see your house really decorated. Can you share some trends that you're seeing for home, with the people that are connected? Melissa talked a little bit about a trend that a lot of sustainability, let's say, focus, and then Melissa said, the shows, sustainable ingredients are important. Do you see the same trend in terms of home?
Yeah, for sure. We actually did this really great forecast called Peaceful Recluse without knowing that we were going into this whole situation. That was going into spring 21. And it really did talk about how people are going into this beautiful minimalist movement, but it really is focused on getting back to nature and pushing a sustainable forefront. And so one of the best things that I really love about a lot of our forecasts is that we give you this really beautiful style guide. This is something that you can print off and take with you to your team. You can take to your meetings, you can share with everybody, but this really gets you back to like soft-spoken retreats. There's a huge clarity movement. This is really about creating meditative spaces in your home, getting back to like things that are organic. It's about creating luxury items. So this really just kind of like pulls the whole report together. You have a really lovely mood, as well as you're always able to access Pinterest from here where we pull all of our images. Here's your word bank. So you can kind of see like it's about really coming back to nature, which I think is a huge conversation for what we're going through right now. I think we were in this huge overconsumption movement, and now we're going to be reshifting our priorities towards sustainability and figuring out what is this, new luxury for us. We always love to give you like who our influences are. We always want to give you the validation behind all of our reports. We never want to leave you in the dark. We talk about the color behind all of these reports. You have all of our color systems that you can play with as well. We give you a lovely material synopsis, so you can see you have a lot of your eco materials here, and even like things like eco marbles, recycled glass, recycled materials, different types of new reused ceramics, recycled corks. That's a really big one. We've seen a lot of corks come to the forefront, especially for home. And the same thing for details, just looking at different ways that nature comes into the details is really key. And then we break it down by market. So we start with the overall big picture of like what your actual house looks like from an architectural level. And then we go into things like actual soft goods. So you see your pillows, your duvet covers, what your bedding, your drapes would look like. And then we go into things like decor, tabletop. We get into your hard goods, and your furniture layers, which are always really beautiful. You can kind of see how it just feels really serene. One of the big things that we're really seeing in home is that, people are just so overwhelmed with everything going on. They want really clean, very meditative, very serene driven spaces, or at least they're creating a space in their home for calmness, which is, I think, really key. And then you also have your lighting here as well. Things that really lighting is fun right now because it's very artisanally driven. A lot of artisans are coming out with lighting that feels very kind of quirky and cool. It's very statement driven. We also drive down into packaging. Packaging is very big for home. We work with beauty to do a lot of this, which is awesome. We also include outdoor for all of our spring reports. That's very, very key, I'm sure, for you guys. You guys have beautiful weather all the time. And then we work with our pattern and graphics team to create really lovely patterns and graphics reports, which also includes downloadable artwork. So you can download any of these and use. And then we also create fragrance as well for all of your candles and fragrance needs. And then we have our trend map. So these are all the other reports on our site that then relate back to this report. So you can kind of see other lifestyle reports in home, design aesthetics, product shifts, etc. So yeah.
A lot of information. And basically, you know, both Melissas and you, Jay, shared something in common, and it's sustainability, and it's peace, you know, and it's all this retreat that people are doing in their houses, and, you know, taking time to be with themselves and just meditate, just taking care of themselves, just doing that one meal that you always wanted to prepare, painting that wall that you always wanted to paint. So it's everything about, you know, being at home and making it the best place to stay, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were all go, go, go for so long. And we've really kind of reached this point to where when we had to stop, we had to kind of have a conversation with ourselves like, man, we don't really know how to do a lot. You know, we forgot how to cook. We forgot how to do a lot of these like really native things that we should know how to do as humans. And I think we're in a relearning process, which is interesting. So painting walls and, you know, hanging pictures and putting together furniture is definitely something that's on right now happening within consumer behavior.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you guys. Thank you to all the Fashion Snoop team. I think we could, you know, just go on forever talking about each category. There's you know, there are so many things to talk about in terms of consumer. Each of the market has specific products. So, for example, Melissa Moreland has feminine. So you could just dig into sportswear, lingerie. You know, there are so many categories that we would like to talk about. Maybe we can do it later on, just to have the chance to talk about specific categories, because people are asking questions about very specific products. I'm going to take a few extra minutes to ask you guys some questions and maybe have a quick conversation about specific items that people want to know about. One of the questions from somebody that's connected is, how will the underwear segment will change taking into account the speed of, you know, everybody's lifestyle? I'm trying to reconfigure the question. How would that affect? How would this affect the underwear segment, and will it have an evolution taking into account that people will be spending more time in their houses?
I'll take that one. So I think that's obviously a really hot topic, because right now many of us are living in sweatpants. So the whole loungewear market is kind of exploding, and I think that there's some really interesting things for anyone who's listening in that is one of our clients. We have beautiful product shift reports that we do in both women's as well as intimates and lounge. And that speaks to some kind of overarching messages that are happening and that we foresee will continue. One of the big ones is called bed to street. And I think that's really important, and it's super relevant because, you know, right now we consider that we're all kind of lounging around at home, but it's melding those worlds between ready to wear as well as what you're going to wear on the street. And I think that's something that's super important. I think, you know, more on a loungewear perspective, but also this notion of knitwear becomes super important just because it's such a comfort element. And we're seeing, you know, the sweater classification as well as cut and sew knits explode just because it's something that you want to live in right now. And it brings this sort of, you know, the notion of comfort food. It brings the same sort of element and feeling to clothing that you just want to live in that. So head to toe matched knitwear sets, that's something that we foresee, you know, continuing. And I think even extending into regular intimates lingerie, we have been seeing this trend for more inner as outer. So progressing that notion and kind of borrowing from those elements of, yes, right now we're at home, we're in loungewear, we're in our intimates, and then extending that into what we'll wear once we're out there in the world again.
Great. One last question before we close the session, and the question for us. everybody's talking about how seasons are going to be shifting, you know, due to COVID-19 and how stores are closed and how people are not buying what they were supposed to buy. And so we're going to be seeing, let's say, trends that were supposed to be in the market, like spring, summer. You're going to be buying it for fall, winter, you know, 2020, and that seasons are going to be pretty much all over the place. What do you guys think of this idea for each of the categories you guys represent?
I'll start with women's. I think this is something that it's still developing from the perspective of our whole infrastructure as we've known it, design process is dismantled. So we're trying to sort that out, and there isn't, you know, one solid answer yet. I think, but something that's on all of our minds and has been prior to all this started happening is that we have so much excess. There's more than what we need out there. And I think that we're finally going to see collections, brands, and retailers really kind of hone in on tighter assortments. So offering less but better, and not, you know, this notion of here's everything. So I think that's going to kind of force us to reset in that way. I also think it's interesting just addressing, you know, the notion, as you kind of alluded to, in that, you know, seasonality. Do we need all of these collections? Do we need pre-fall? Do we need resort? Maybe we just make a bigger, you know, spring and fall collection, things of that nature. So I think that'll be important considering, you know, moving forward. Also, I think what's interesting and has been bubbling up, but we haven't really formulated a good way to do it, is this notion of see now, buy now. Since everyone is so digitally connected and everybody, you know, there's a lot of people that are super interested in fashion. They want to see what, you know, is happening in fashion shows and buy it immediately. They don't want the lag time. So I think it might be interesting to see, you know, how that model shifts, and perhaps we go into more see now, buy now collections.
I can also kind of jump in. I think we're not seeing it immediately, but we're definitely going to be feeling that retailers specifically will hopefully tighten their assortments and develop the idea of fewer, better things, and quality control. We talk about this a lot, especially within the home realm. There are so many different lines and brands within like one retailer. It just feels like an overwhelming presence when you look at something like sheets. And so I think that the tighter assortments, less is more, is an approach that we'll start seeing more and more manufacturers start to go after.
Yeah, I would add that you're going to have, I think there's going to be a tension in the market where, like you said, Sebastian, you know, people will have product to get rid of. And at the same time, you're going to have a consumer who's craving something new and fresh. So it is going to be a mandate of, you know, retailers really focusing an assortment that is appealing, that speaks to the moment. So maybe finding other channels to get rid of a product that has been left over, and not quite putting them through the traditional, you know, the regular retail channels. Because I think that, yes, and we have a few series coming out, which is called the Rethink Assortment, which is going to be really valuable because there is probably some really good gems in some of the leftovers, and maybe now with open eyes we could recognize those gems, and we might have overlooked them because we had so much, and now it's like, oh, I'm going to invest in this color, I'm going to invest in this item. But it's not just blindly taking everything left over and pushing it through your store, because you have a consumer who's coming in who's more aware, more awake, and really craving something that's going to be either speaking to a solution they need or emotionally charging them somehow, and it might not satisfy with just leftover assortment.
Yeah,
Great.
I'm gonna answer this in English now. I think it's a little bit different for beauty because you know, in the beauty world, it's not like we have there's collections, but it is different, and we have seen seasonless for a while, especially when it comes to like, nail colors. You know, it's like, why not have a pastel all year round, or why not have a neon to make you feel good in the winter. But I know we're just seeing a lot more personalized, you know, like people really wanting products that just, you know, make, like, what is to say that you need hydration only in winter and not need it in the spring or the summer? So, you know, definitely just seeing brands focus more on like the personalization of like people's needs instead of like, okay, this is what we think needs to be at a certain time.
Great. Well, thank you for your answers. I think it's really interesting. As I said, we can go on talking about, you know, this all day long, all week long if we want to. But again, I want to thank you guys for being with us today. We had over close to 300 people connected through our Zoom conference and through our YouTube channel. So thank you for all the information you guys shared with us today. Hopefully we'll be able to have more webinars like this to talk about specific categories so we can dig it a little deeper into, you know, questions that a lot of people had regarding leather goods, regarding jewelry. You know, we can go on in the fashion categories. So on behalf of Inexmo, I really want to thank you guys for being with us today, for taking the time to share all this knowledge and all the things you're seeing in the market with all the people that were connected with us today. Well, I don't know if you guys want to say bye to everybody before we wrap up.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for having us in Exmoda team, and thank you for your partnership. And we're here to help in any way needed.
Bye.
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 Thank you. Muchas gracias a todos por estar conectados. Recuerden que este webinar está alojado mañana en nuestro canal de YouTube con subtítulos. Y para terminar, quiero agradecerle al equipo de Fashion Snoop, recordarle a todos los que están conectados que sigan muy pendientes de los temas que está realizando Inexmoda. En este momento estamos haciendo convocatorias para un programa con FedEx que se llama Sonar, en donde recibirán invitaciones para trabajar en canales digitales y para ayudarlos a vender en línea. Entonces, si quieren más información, pueden escribirnos a través de nuestras redes sociales o a través de nuestro correo electrónico @inexmoda.org.co. Gracias a todos por estar conectados. Thank you, Fashion Snoop team. It was really nice seeing you guys, and it was very interesting talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.